Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our venture into the cryptocurrencies with Chia mining on our Windows channel. Today, we will have a 2 weeks resume about what we have encountered over the last 2 weeks. And now that our viewer numbers are back to normal, we can lean back and relax. So thanks for everybody who watched, and thanks for everybody who is still watching, and for the people who subscribe to our channel. We will follow this up and we will have an eye on it. As an economist by trade, this is an extremely exciting period. It is, I think, similar to being a doctor in the late 1800s. You come across things every day which you could only dream of a few decades ago. Every day brings something new, and we have seen the biggest banking crisis in a century. We see the growth of a new economic superpower and how the Roman Empire tries to strike back. And yeah, we see new things. We see development of new markets, things which haven't been around before. And of course, we see the same things in different disguises which have been around all the way, but some things are really new. So I ventured into cryptocurrency and especially into uh, Bitcoin when it came up, because it was, of course, something an economist could miss. And so I ended up shifting my focus onto cryptography, and now I'm pretty settled in there. So it is an exciting period to watch, and it is really something which I enjoy every day. And maybe even with my bad English, some of it comes across. So over the last 2 weeks, we had a very close watch onto Chia, because there was a chance of some kind of next Bitcoin coming up, and it looked like an honest project from the onset. And yeah, don't get ahead of myself. We had a barbecue yesterday with a few friends from university, and for those of you who have who hate the rise in price of hard disks, one of them is a physician, and he works at the forefront of the development of new storage media. And unfortunately, he couldn't give us a heads up that there is a real alternative to hard disks coming around the corner. So we will have to live with it for the next foreseeable future. And the other one was a statistic professor, and he is under the impression that if he could just uh, have the time, he would develop something much better than Bitcoin. So there is hope out there. But let's focus on Chia now. So the more four or the main pillars of Chia's profitability are the coin price, of course, the individual chance of winning, the daily growth, the depreciation is very much depending on how much you invest, and of course the opportunity cost. That means could you do what else could you do with your time and money to take into account what you are actually paying for the favor of taking part in this experiment. So the coin price, as we will see, has gone down from 860 to 660 at the moment, so over the last 2 weeks, and it is determined mainly by the case if it is a transactional medium or a storage medium for wealth. We will see what the outcome is, if Chia survives or if it just vanishes or whatever happens, we don't know. There is no glass ball I can look into. The main obstacle for Chia obviously is the high volume of pre-mined coins. That is something which will uh, always be in the way. There needs to be a solution for this, or it will just diminish the chances of Chia ever becoming something like mainstream. And as far as I have followed the interviews and press announcements, yeah, there is no plan in place other than we have it, we did it, and yeah, basically there's a 5-year-old uh, sitting on a favorite toy and not thinking about what and how he can. He's just happy to have it. So over the last 2 weeks, this stock of pre-mine coin has diminished in value as well. So if you want to have a lesson in how to spend $5 billion in a 2 weeks time, oh no, it's more, then yeah, it is possible. Obviously, you see it. So what is it? What is our chance of winning? Okay, so the number of blocks is determined. It is 4,608 blocks per day, which translates into 9,216 coins. The daily growth of net space at the moment is 693 petabyte, which is about 7.5% of the net space. And according to the guru at the top of the pyramid, there are now data centers stepping in, and there are huge company run spaces made available to Chia, but that doesn't translate into the size of the nodes. So we have had a growth in nodes from let me see. So 320,000, which I divided uh, the exabytes to 320,000 nodes at the beginning of the period, which gave us 28 petabytes as an average size of the node. And you can see as of today, we have 396,000 nodes, and we have a net space of 19,000 exabytes, with roughly, which translates into 48 petabytes. So we have not even doubled the space per nodes. So it doesn't look like there has been a queue of data centers taking part in the Chia lottery. It looks like the people at the top uh, increased their space according to the network growth and so managed to stay at the top of the pyramid. So the early adopters who went in with 5 petabyte at the beginning are now at 2 or 3 or maybe 4 times the size of their initial investment and still reaping in the rewards. But they had the problem of unforeseen uh, 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 a pool which wasn't foreseen, so they had to uh, up their game to keep up the huge rewards. So if you started with 5 petabytes in week one of the Chia coin public, when Chia went public, you made a huge gain, but if you didn't, then you probably didn't make a huge gain. So, in my opinion, the whole thing is nothing but an multi level marketing scheme which benefits the people at the top, and there's no or very little income for the people at the bottom. Mainly, the project is piggybacking on self exploitation. So, people who are willing to devote time and resources to a project without actually getting a return. Then we have the problem of the diminishing returns. That means you need ever more investment to get to keep up with the Joneses, which means the overhead. It's not only that you have to buy more hard disks, that isn't the problem, but the overhead itself is getting out of control. You need ever more manpower to actually run the show, and 1 minute of downtime is costing you much more than it was two weeks ago. So now your 10 minutes of downtime are really hitting you, and the rise of H pool has obviously done some things, done some bad things to the big whales as well. So they are getting into troubled water the more the net space grows, and it won't change when a few number of additional pools turn up. It will only diminish the chances of the pools to be successful, because the few people who are at the top of the pyramid, who control, let's say, 50% of the whole net space, they will dictate how much coins the farms will let how much coins the farms will actually be able to farm. So the pools, I mean, and as long as it is worth for them to invest and to increase the number of the amount of net space, and as long as the diminishing returns in cooperation with the devaluation of the coin don't hit their actual pocket, which is probably, if the prognosis are right, then we are looking at a growth until about 100 exabyte, and that would be pretty difficult to handle by then. The main problem for the coin at the moment is there's no real public interest in the coin. The number of trades has gone down, and it is significantly gone down. So we are looking at only 3 days of trade at the moment. That means the number of people from outside the project, that is what counts, that people which aren't already invested in Chia coin is diminishing. So there's no fresh, or there's only very little fresh money coming into the show. And that means the higher the stack of Chias you're sitting on, the higher your risk, because the narrower the market, the bigger the hikes and spikes are if you actually want to trade. So This is a thing they will be closely watching, because if that goes down further, then your ability to actually cash in reaches zero at one point. So that is something they will have their eyes on, and we will see a coincidence, probably like in any other scheme, that you will have good news and then sell on good news. But yeah, that is my verdict, of course. It is just my verdict. Don't take it. It's just a fool talking about things he doesn't understand. Good. And then we have the other factor, that it's very, very badly managed, that there is no person there who actually takes responsibility, who actually has a vision apart from we've done what we did, and there's no added value at the coin at the moment. There's nothing I can see which is going further than financing the start of the Chia company to generate an income stream for the founders. There's no actual value which we can add to the coin which would merit some kind of public interest. So at the moment, I would think it is just an ordinary multi-level marketing scheme, nothing new. Unfortunately, it uses something which was donated to the internet and has been such a success. And I hope it doesn't make it. It doesn't give it a bad name. A bad name. And just to give you or my reasoning for why it is good that the price for the coin goes down. If you want to have something which is transactional, it needs to be something which is usable. There's a reason we don't use gold coins anymore. Because if you want to go out and buy a pack of washing powder and you go into the shop and you get out your Krugerrand and you want to pay for the washing powder, you will have a bit of a problem. And the same goes for a 200-pound note. We don't use high denominations in our everyday life because they are not practical. And that means if you want to have a coin which has any transactional value, then you need to have it in a range which is publicly acceptable. Of course, if you are in the narcotics trade and have a stash of $100 million somewhere, and you have two options, either the DEA or Chia coins, then of course Chia coin is an option, because even if it halves, it is still a better investment than handing it over to the Drug Enforcement Agency. So yep, that is why we don't use high denominations, and that is why Bitcoin has so many problems now with its high value, because it is obviously an easy way to transfer dirty money, and everything which goes down, or everything which goes down that route, is tainted, of course. So that is why a coin price of, let's say, $20, as it was originally intended, of course would be a good thing for the Chia coin. But this obviously is only my opinion and not everybody else's. So that is my verdict after 2 weeks of watching it. I think it is pretty clear that my opinion about Chia coin at the moment is not very positive, but, and that is a huge but, there is potential if they decide to auction off some of their stock, or let's say 90% of their stock, if they make it a fair game, if they introduce farming options which actually give a fair share of the return to small investors, everything can change. But that are a lot of ifs, and over the last I follow the project now for 6 weeks, and that is a very short time. I know. My opinion doesn't count, but in if those changes, if they get their act together, this could still end up being a real good project. Okay, so that is it for now. Enjoy. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings too much. And yeah, please like and subscribe and have a very good time. Thank you very much for listening.